Welcome back to Post-Traumatic Thriving, where we talk about this ugly stuff called trauma and, more importantly, how we work through it successfully. I am here with my wonderful co-host, Tanya Brown.
Hi, Randy. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to see you. We have a fantastic guest today, don't we?
Amazing.
Anthony Brown.
Anthony.
You're a big name in Orange County, the speaking circuit and everything.
Yes.
Anthony, my first question to you is the floor is yours. Just tell us about who you are, and more importantly, where you're born and your childhood before, where things went sideways. But just introduce yourself and tell us about growing up.
Okay, well, I'm Anthony Brown, and I was born in 1961, which was a good year. A lot of stuff happened in the 60s. I'm originally from a small town called Steubenville, Ohio. I come from an interesting background. I was raised with a single mom. Mm-hmm. I got 2 sisters and 1 brother. None of us have the same father, but all of our birth dates are close. I was born September 61. My older sister was born September 60. My brother was born February 58, 59. My younger sister was born October of 63. Mm-hmm. And so we're all sort of like winter babies.
Yeah.
And from what I hear, when I was born, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck. I was encased in a block of sand because my mom craved sand. And so I made it through that. As far as I can remember, it was always my 2 sisters, my brother, myself, and my mom. Father figures, my brother knew his father. My older sister knew her father. My younger sister knew her father, but I never met my father.
Oh, boy.
I didn't even know his name until I got my birth certificate when I was 15 years old.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
And so being raised in that household, I was born in Steubenville, but we lived in Cleveland probably from when I was 8 months old to 9 years old. I remember as early on as we used to live above a bar. The roof of the bar was our yard. And so I remember looking over the top of the roof down in the alley and seeing, violence and things of that nature. And that's just what I was used to seeing. Our household was violent. My mom's motto was spare the rod, spoil the child. And so we got some of that. When I was younger, we didn't have much money. I remember when we used to have food, our meal consisted of like scraps. And she worked at a barbecue place. When you clean the grill, what's left over, that was our dinner.
Oh, wow.
And we lived on that. I remember government cheese, and that stuff made good macaroni and cheese, but give you a little constipation, but hey, and so that's the way we lived. And I remember we didn't go out much because of our neighborhood. So me and my sisters used to play together. One of our favorite games was one of us would pull a blanket because we had wooden floors, and the other one would ride on it. And that's what we used to play, sling each other around that way. And so that was fun. Going to school in Ohio, there was wintertime, it snowed and all of that stuff. And so I remember there's one time I remember my mom got enough money to give us a lunchbox because, and there was a little thermos in it. And I broke the inside of the thermos, but I was scared to tell her, because of the consequences that would happen. And so I remember one morning she wanted to fill it up with liquids, and it poured out. So I got busted on that one. And so, but that was the way, my household was. I remember being a little kid. My mom used to invite friends over. They would drink. I remember Schlitz malt liquor. In a can.
Right.
They would drink and put out cigarette butts in the can, and I'd go behind and drink from the beer cans and probably swallowed a few cigarette butts.
Oh, boy.
That's probably what led me to smoke later on, but that's a different story. But that was my life. I drank, and she says, hey, that's my little man. And that was that. And we used to get up in the middle of the night, creep in the refrigerator and steal food because we were hungry. And one day we got up in the middle of the night to steal food, and we walked in the living room. My mom was laying on the floor. She had got shot.
My gosh.
Yeah, I remember the blood and the gray matter. I can even visualize the position she was in.
Oh Lord.
And so
So just to get clarity, so your mom was in the kitchen and she had been shot outside, or
no, she was in the living room. We got up to go to the kitchen to steal food, and we looked in the living room.
And she had been shot in the living room.
Right, she was laying there. And at that time, she was seeing some guy, and he disappeared. And so I thought, well, maybe he's the culprit, but they never. That's an unsolved mystery even to this day.
Did your mom survive the shooting?
Yeah, she did.
Okay,
she did. There's an odd blank spot in my memory. But I do remember she had bandages around her head, and we moved from Cleveland to Steubenville, Ohio. And I remember when we arrived there, we had one suitcase, four coats, and her and me and my two sisters. My brother had went and lived with my grandmother at the time, and so we were living then, and so that's when I went to school.
But now let's back up just a minute. I just want to because this is quite a story.
Yeah,
so,
riveting.
How old were you when you saw your mom shot in the living room?
I was 9.
You were 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So what I'm getting so far is you were literally born with a trauma with an umbilical cord around your neck.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like it went downhill from there, from just seeing violence literally peering over the roof of the bar into the alley. You're not having enough to eat. You're not being properly cared for. You don't know who your dad is. Every little boy, every little girl wants to know their parents. Yeah. You have a bunch of people coming through, it sounds like, and a lot of partying going on right in front of you. You're being introduced to alcohol way, way too early, obviously. And then you see your mom shot. What went through your head when this is this like normal, or is this like crazy, or what's kind of going through your head when this happens?
It was normal because my whole life, even going outside, the way we used to play, we throw rocks at each other, and
like to hurt each other.
Well, that was just the way we played.
Okay.
You throw bricks and things like that. That's just the way we played.
Okay.
I remember once there was a guy I was eating an ice cream, and he took my ice cream, and I hit him with a brick, because that's just what we did.
Okay.
It was your normal.
That was my normal.
Yeah.
You get into a fight, you wasn't allowed to run home because mom would bring me back, and my choices was, and I remember her telling me, if you get into a fight with him, at least you got a 50-50 chance. If you run and have to deal with me, you don't have no chance. And so then, that was the way I was taught to fight.
So you're encouraged to fight by your mom.
Yes.
Yeah. And did I get that? That's
survive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was that. Even in school back then, that's when teachers used to give you swats and paddles and things of that nature. I remember in the 6th grade in Cleveland, our teacher had a gun. That was something.
Really?
Normal. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was normal.
In 6th grade.
Yes.
Huh.
Wow.
So you're about 10 when this happens, and you react to it as this is normal.
Yeah. All the going to school, teachers paddling, hitting the guy with the brick, all of that was before 9.
Wow.
My goodness.
Then after my mom got shot, then a different course of life occurred because we moved from Cleveland to Steubenville.
Did you move because of the shooting, or was that just a coincidence?
I don't know, because I was 9.
Okay.
And there's that little blank spot.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So from 1 to 9 is a pretty, I don't know the right adjectives. It's a pretty it sounds to me like it's a your normal is what anybody else would say, wow, that's horrific.
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly.
And you're, as a little boy who just wants to be a normal little boy, are confronting some really ugly, things that no human should be exposed to, let alone a little kid. And you're being acclimated to this world that's just, did you ever sense that, hey, this is not okay. This is wrong. This is what I'm going through is, not okay for a little kid to go through, or did you just kind of accept it as this is the way it is?
That's my norm. That's just
it's all you knew. It's all you knew.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have anything to compare and contrast. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even in school, I remember my 6th grade teacher. If you messed up, you had to hold dictionaries, and you'd have to stand in the corner and hold dictionaries. And the more you mess up, the more dictionaries get added on.
Yeah.
And so you would hold them. I remember
they were big. Those dictionaries were heavy.
But that was just the way school was.
Yeah.
My gym teacher once grabbed me by the ribs and he said, I'd pull these out and you could feel his hand. And it's like, okay, that's just the way my life was.
And you're literally eating scraps
Mm-hmm.
that your mom brought home.
Mm-hmm.
And was there what was your relationship with your siblings?
They were cool. My brother left early on, and it was me and my 2 sisters.
Okay.
And that was fun because one sister's older than me and the other sister's younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so the younger one would create stuff, and then I would fight with her. Then the older one would beat me up, and then both of them would tell my mom. And so it was like,
it's almost like you kind of created your own little playground with each other, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our playing, as we grew older, I remember, I pushed my sister down steps. I pushed her out of a window. I mean, that's the way we played,
Yeah.
So there's kind of weird affection going on here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But the beauty of it is my older sister was she was violent. And she would nobody really would mess with her.
And you mentioned your brother that left. How old was he when he left, and where did he go? What happened with your brother?
My brother was probably 15, and he left after my mom got shot. My brother left, and I think he went to live with my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we just stayed with my mom, and then we followed behind because my grandmother's in Steubenville.
Okay.
And so then we moved to Steubenville.
And did your mom heal from the shooting, or was there some kind of lingering medical problem from the shooting?
She healed, but her anger level increased.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit.
I can only imagine, because, I mean, was she ever given an opportunity to really, again, we weren't talking about what we're talking about back, when you were growing up. So, if I were to, and correct me if I'm wrong, like she never really was given an opportunity to really like face her trauma. Like she probably didn't even know really what she went through herself.
Yeah, and there's a possibility because we didn't hear about treatment and
right.
That wasn't
then.
Part, of that.
She did what she could to survive at that time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so from birth to 9, it's crazy. Your mom gets shot. And then it sounds like she was a pretty strict mom in some ways, but kind of exposing you as a kid to things that, in terms of people she's invited into the home, she was exposing you to things that you shouldn't have been exposed to. Is that a fair assessment?
I think she did what she knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because she's a single person raising 3 kids in a very volatile or dangerous city.
Okay.
And so, she did what she could do.
The best with what she knew, right?
Exactly.
It's like you don't come out of the womb knowing how to raise a kid in any environment, right? So she loved you and the others as well as she possibly could. And, with all she knew.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's all she knew.
Yeah.
To correct a child, you'd have to discipline them, and discipline was just part of my life. I mean, in school, you get, paddles, you go home, you get corrected. And it's not like, we were little angels. I mean, we got into stuff.
Well, sure.
Was it discipline? Was it discipline or very punitive? What do you, knowing, everything looking back now? At the time, I'm sure it was, going through what you went through, I'm sure it was discipline, but maybe now everything in hindsight, maybe it was quite punitive.
Well, after she got shot, things got really punitive.
Yeah.
I mean, she took it to a whole different level.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. But just one more question before we go to after 9. But from birth to 9, was there any kind of like North Star or guiding light or worldview that was like you were going for, or any kind of expressions of love from anybody around you? Or was it just kind of like more of this, childhood survival mode, eating what was there, being hungry way too often, and just, seeing things of violence in your neighborhood that you shouldn't see? Was there, can you kind of fill in the dimensions of what that kind of looked like in terms of any kind of love in the air?
Well, that was love. I mean, there wasn't really nobody there. I mean, my mom would go to work, us kids would watch each other. That was it. There was nobody to come in and go, oh yeah, this is going to be fantastic. It wasn't that, and so we just dealt with what we had.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So you turn 9, or your mom's shot. There's a new level of anger. What is that phase from 9 to, let's maybe go up to high school? What did that kind of look like for you?
Well, I never went to high school, but junior high.
Okay, fair enough.
When we moved to Steubenville, I was in the 6th grade.
Okay.
And I remember we lived on 8th Street. We came to that town with 1 suitcase, 3 coats, 3 kids, 4 coats. She had a coat, and her. And that's where she was born, and that's where I was born. So she kind of went back home. And so I remember going to the 6th grade, and sometimes kids are cruel. And I'm a new kid on the block in the 6th grade wearing hand-me-downs and all of that stuff. And so I'd get into fights and things of that nature. And, the same old rules, you can't run, you have to go back and things of that nature. And so we lived on 8th Street. My mom started to... I think at that time she started going to school, and from 8th Street we moved to the first house that she bought, and by then I went to the 7th grade, and 7th grade I was already acting out. I mean, I was like stealing all the time. I think that's when I first tried to get high with Lipton tea.
Lipton?
Yeah, Lipton tea. Me and my sisters rolled up Lipton tea bags and smoked it. And it smelled like, marijuana. So we thought it was marijuana. So the first time I got high was on Lipton tea.
Did that work? I don't know.
It worked a little bit different. Well, when I got introduced to real marijuana, alcohol gold, then there was a big difference. And so that happened, and we discovered that because we didn't have money, we still didn't have any money, and
what was your mom doing for work? I'm just curious.
She was a housekeeper.
Okay.
And I remember once she was a janitor at a bank, and she was working at the bank, and she took us kids in there to help her clean. And me and my sisters would go, and we'd look at the desk of people, and we'd go through, we'd find gum and steal it, and find change and steal it. And then one day my sister opened up a drawer, and there was like envelopes of money. And so we're like,
wow.
Yeah. And so we took it, and my sister was supposed to burn the envelopes, because in the bank there's an incinerator, then there's a box that you have to put the stuff you're going to incinerate in the box before you burn it.
Mhm.
Well, my sister was supposed to burn the evidence, but she didn't. She put it in the box, my older sister. And so the feds found out and they came to our house.
Wow.
Mm.
That's serious stuff.
It was very serious.
Yeah.
So what went down?
Being
what
a
happened?
kid, especially.
My sisters turned in their money. I've already spent mine because I bought friends. I went and bought my friends all kinds of stuff. And so I spent my money. I didn't have mine to turn back in. And so after the feds left, then that's when I think I got probably the most memorable beating of my entire life.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
By your mom?
By my mom.
Okay.
Yeah. I had to lay on the floor, on the carpet floor, and she put her foot on my neck and beat me with an extension cord.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then she would take a break and smoke Benson and Hedges 100. And then when she got done, she continued. And during one of these breaks, I escaped and I ran to my friend's house and I was hiding in a closet. And I remember, I was in the closet and I heard my mom knock on the door and my friend caved. And I seen the door open and my mom was there. I'm in a closet. And so she started beating me in a closet and I had nowhere to go. And so I finally got out and I was running down the alley and she would say, "Don't you run for me." And I'd have to stop and she'd hit me and I'd run. And that happened all the way home.
This is just so ugly. Now,
You're
what's
a
kind of
kid.
going through your mind as you recount this?
Now it's
Yeah.
like it's just part of life.
Okay. But at the time, it must have been just terrifying. Even though you're growing up with all this crazy stuff going on, this must have been terrifying.
It's kind of like you're almost chalking it up to a life experience at this point, right?
Yeah, because that's just the way
But
it
going
was.
through it, yeah.
You know?
But going through that was your norm. It was your
It
normal.
was my norm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so going to school in the 7th grade, after that was really hard because I had a big old bruise on my face. I had to explain where that was. And so I remember, so I wasn't doing good in school. Actually, I started skipping school. I was stealing her gin from underneath the kitchen sink.
Mhm.
I was drinking, smoking marijuana.
So you found her stash.
Yeah, I found her stash.
Okay.
Going to the store, start stealing wine.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Were you getting caught here and there, or were you getting away with a lot of this
I
stuff?
was getting away with a lot of it because the town I'm from, everybody knows everybody. And so I'm stealing wine. I am smoking pot. I'm selling pot.
How old are you at this point?
I was probably 11, 12.
Oh
So
my
7th,
gosh.
8th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you're an 11-year-old kid
Mm-hmm.
without really given a proper shot at life, not being cared for properly.
Mhm.
And 11, you're drinking gin. And we all know physiologically the brain doesn't fully develop until up to 26 years old,
Right.
21 to 26, kind of that range. So that's not good.
Mhm.
A lot of compounded trauma. Everything, right from the umbilical cord to the upbringing to, up until this point that you're sharing right now. A lot of compounded trauma.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just layer upon layer, year after year. Your mom's literally, this is just nothing short of child abuse.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is.
But now we call that. And now today we call, your experience child abuse. Back then, we weren't, again, we didn't have these, terms to coin. So, but everything in hindsight. So basically it's child abuse. And I'm sure, you have an affinity for your mother. She's your mother, correct me if I'm wrong, but she, again, going back to what I said, people do the best with what they can.
Mhm.
They love you the best that they possibly can
Mhm.
with what they have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
It's not excusable, but
yeah.
it's
So
the best they can do.
you're 11. This is going on. Let's keep going with your story.
Okay. So around that time, I think, because my older sister's really violent. At least she was back in the day. And so she would do something. I remember once that she said something to me. I think she cussed my mom out or something.
Mm.
And then my mom hit her in the face with a pistol, and told her, "I brought you into this world. I'll take you out."
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So we knew not to ever,
Cross mom.
ever. I mean, even when she was beating us, if we put our arm up, she's like, "Oh, you're trying to hit me?" It's like, "Oh no, I ain't trying to hit you."
So it's kind of like what we see in the movies, pretty much. You lived it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So up until like high school age, what happens after 11?
11. Let's see. In junior high, one of the things I think that curved me away from going to school is I did something in school, and my mom came. And I got a beating in school. And I remember all the kids heard it echo in the hallway. And so I wasn't going to go back to school anymore. So I'd skipped school. That went on. So they put me back in the 7th grade again. And I pretty much did the same thing. Then they put me back in the 7th grade again. And by then it's like, who cares?
So you're kind of giving up.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and that happened with the 8th grade too. I never went. And so I pretty much always tell people I did 3 tours in the 7th grade and 2 tours in the 8th grade. And
is this kind of humiliating for you to be held back over and over again? Or is this
not really? Not really.
You just kind of like going with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm out, I'm selling weed, I'm stealing, I'm making a living. I got money finally.
Yeah.
So who cares about school?
So between stealing and selling weed, you're kind of coming up with the money that and frankly taking care of yourself in the way that your family is not able to.
Right.
Sort of independence.
And when I'm curious about your sister, you said she's violent. What did that violence kind of look like?
One guy upset her and she demolished his car with a brick. I mean, she chased him down the street. Anybody would get into a fist fight with my sister, you're going to lose. We already know that right out the gate. There's no way, And so if somebody beat me up in school, they knew what was coming next. I mean, my sister, you think my mom was violent? My sister she'd beat you with a stick. I mean, she was mean. And she would snap. There wasn't no warning sign. If you seen my sister, it's going down.
Wow. And then you mentioned you had another sister.
My younger sister. Oh, she's mellow. She didn't do anything, man. She just told on people.
Okay. So very different personalities.
Right. Because I remember there was one time in life that I was selling weed and I was keeping it in the house. And it was in my room. And this is a running joke with us even to this day, that it was in my room and I had it stashed in a certain way. And I came back and my stash was disturbed. And my younger sister took it. And I confronted her on it, and she denied it. And then my older sister beat me up. Then they both told my mom I was selling weed. And so then, my mom beat me too, because I shouldn't be selling weed in the house. I shouldn't be selling weed, period. But so that's how my school, my school stuff was going. And that's how my life was. By then I was probably 13. That's when I learned how to inject drugs when I was 13.
Oh my God.
Inject.
Yeah.
What are you injecting?
Preludins. It was a diet pill back then in the day. And by then I've already started eating pills. I was eating any amphetamine based. I was eating anything. It didn't matter.
So you just want to get high and take your mind somewhere else, other than reality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
But everything in hindsight, because sometimes when you're actually going through the trauma, we don't go, well, why am I drinking? Why am I using? Why am I popping these pills? Pretty much like everything in hindsight. But now it's like, now you're able to go back and go, wow, no wonder I did all of this because I didn't want to feel what I was going through.
Yeah. Well, what's fascinating about your story, Anthony, is that, a lot of people get into drugs and alcohol, but they're typically more like in 17, 18, 19, or maybe in college. You're starting young.
Very young.
I mean, you're drinking out of, beer cans at 6. Yeah. And you're using needle drugs, which is really serious, as a young teenager. I mean, like a 13-year-old. Did I get that right? That's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot for a kid to take in.
So I guess on the quote plus side, you're providing a few bucks for yourself. What are you using with your money for? With your, dealing weed and stealing. What were you using the money for?
Just actually, most of my money I spent on my friends.
Huh?
I bought friends.
You bought friends.
That's what I did. I bought friends.
Yeah.
You buy them stuff so they would be your friend, kind of thing?
Yeah. I mean, one guy bought his mother the entire Exalata collection. I take people out to eat. I mean, I bought people shoes. Just so I get a place to hang out with.
What was it more out of a kindness in your heart to give something to someone else, or were you trying to get them to be your friend, or both?
I think it was more along the lines of having some place to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because hanging out at home
wasn't safe.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay.
And so, but
and
then,
not fun.
Yeah, then one friend, that's the one that opened the closet and, turned me in. But hey, under the circumstances, if you see my mom at the door, you're in trouble. Yeah, you're gonna tell.
So when you say turn you in for what?
Because that was the day I got beaten from the feds, and so when I ran down to hide from my mom, I hid in his closet at his house, and she came down there, and I heard her.
Okay,
and then the closet door opened. There's no way she could even get in the house unless he opened the door. And so he ratted me out. And so buying friends just wasn't worth the price I paid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know who our friends are, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's move, beyond 13 where you're using needle, drugs, very serious. Let's go to 14, 15, 16. What those years look like?
At 14, by the time I hit needles, I've already ate pills. I mean, anything, it didn't matter. Placidils, cross tops, Black Beauties, Quaaludes, acid, smoked hash, everything. Wow. And then I started injecting preludins. And then one day when I was 14, a carnival came into town. And when the carnival, I got a job working, help assembling rides and tearing them down. And when they left, I left. I left with them.
You went with the carnival?
I went with the carnival.
And how old were you when this happened?
14.
14.
14.
A carny.
I was a carny at 14.
Okay. Was this in your mind a good thing, or you're kind of escaping the whole?
Yeah, that's my great escape.
Your great escape.
Also, maybe that also too. Maybe that was your family at that time too. Maybe.
At the carny, see, at home, my mom was the boss. Okay. At the carnival, I'm the boss. Okay. I can fend for myself. I can fight. I could do whatever. You can't tell me what to do. At home, it wasn't nothing like that. I couldn't win a fight with my mother. There's no way I would even try it, but at least I had independence. And so the carnival left, I ran off with them. Carnival season's only in the summertime. And so in the winter, when the carnival was done, then I'd go live in abandoned houses. And that was the first time I think my mom seen me, because I didn't know she was worried about me. I was just gone, Then when I came back to my town, everybody's like, your mother's been looking for you. I'm like, okay, whatever. Then I seen her, they gave me a little bonus. I gave her the bonus money. And I remember this big old stuffed animal I bought her, and I gave it to her, And then I just, I think I hung out for a couple of days and then took off again.
What was her reaction when you handed her that stuffed animal?
I don't know. She could have got emotional. I don't know. Because I was pretty much loaded by then.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So that's interesting. You're in the carnival, you're making a living. You got a quote home to stay at as you're on the road with the carnival. And you earn a few bucks, and then you take that bonus and a stuffed animal and hand it to your mom. You go back to your mom, and that's not quite the reception I would have hoped for, that, in terms of, it just seems so
lonely.
Yeah. It's just not what a kid should have to ever go through. Okay. So
but thank you for sharing this, because how many Anthonys are out there right now who need to hear that story, where here you are, a grown man who have, like, who experience so many things that so many kids right now, whether inner city or here in Dana Point or Southern Orange County, right? I mean, it's everywhere. You're giving a message of, this is how I was raised. This is how my mom was. This is where I found solace. This is where, things, yes, were punitive, but you're giving a message of hope for people, for all these young kids and even the family members who maybe didn't really know how to raise kids. And maybe by you sharing your story, maybe they can kind of go, okay, maybe that's, wow, I'm kind of going down that same path.
The crazy thing is that we're talking about the United States. We're talking about Ohio. I mean, I was born in Ohio, and we're not talking about, this is a horrible thing to say, but, there's poverty all over the world. And, there's poverty in India and Africa and, South America. This is right here in the United States.
In our own backyard.
In our own backyard. And this isn't like in the 16 or 1700s. This is like, you're here, you're, and to realize that this is going on, it's pretty shocking, to a lot of us that this is going on. And I think it's really valuable that you're sharing, even though it's ugly. And we're talking about really, poverty. We're talking about a really a situation that simply shouldn't happen, and it's right here with us,
in our own backyard.
So let's talk about moving forward. We still haven't even hit 18 yet, and we've seen drugs and crime and drug dealing and violence and everything else, and you're not even a legal adult. And it's going with the carnival. So what happens after the carnival?
Well, the first year I came back, I gave her the stuffed animal and everything. I started living in abandoned houses. And it's I smile at some of this stuff. I have to.
And I love that, because during moments of like heightened trauma, like your story sharing, I see the smile, and it makes me smile because you're so aware of the trauma. And now maybe that, your life experience actually kind of warms your heart because you are making a difference now. Yeah. So I'm recognizing that smile. I do the same thing.
Okay. So you're living in abandoned houses. What's that all looking like?
Living in abandoned houses. Back then we used to have wooden crates. And so I would take the crates and make my furniture out of. And then when it gets cold, I'd burn my furniture, and that creates smoke from the chimney, and the police came and evicted me. Well, I was trespassing. And so they came, threw me out, and that was my life. Summer comes, go out with carnival, have a place to live, get paid, be able to eat for 6 months, then come back. I think the next year I came back, I got off the road, went to my mom's. She took me to the recruiter and put me in the Navy.
At what age?
15. She lied about my age.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I didn't even know about that until probably 5 years ago.
Really?
Wow.
So you're 15 in the Navy?
In the Navy.
In the Navy. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So that's kind of a gift, though. You're in the Navy, you have something to eat, you're properly clothed, you properly have a roof
home
over your shit.
But I have rules.
Yeah.
I'm used to being wild.
Oh,
so how'd that go on?
It didn't work out well at all.
Not in the beginning.
No,
that's true. Even. We didn't think about the rules. Here you are.
All right. So tell us about the rules.
Well, the Navy says you have to do certain things, and I'm like, no. And they're like, yes. And so I remember, because I went to boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois, and it was cold, and you'd have to march with little thin gloves. And I just acted out. I did everything I could do. I mean, I was resistant. I was fighting. They put me in a positive motivation unit, in which they were just going to break me.
Positive motivation unit.
Yeah. Where their intention was to break you.
Yes.
Wow.
The positive motivation unit.
Yeah, PMU.
It's like waterboarding. What is that?
You did a lot of marching and a lot of snow.
But I love the names they put to this. Positive motivation. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about the positive motivation unit.
Well, they ended up giving me an honorable discharge out of boot camp.
At what age?
And at 15 or 16, something like that.
Oh, so you didn't last long?
No, because they found out.
Okay.
And I didn't even know this until just like I said, 5 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you're a Navy vet.
Without really even
16 with an honorable discharge.
I have an honorable discharge. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
the youngest ever.
And so I got out the Navy, went back, worked for the carnival, abandoned houses, carny, and then and still drinking and using, selling drugs, stealing. I mean, just all of that stuff. And
so still you're turning to crime for more cash.
Yeah.
Are you still spending it on friends, or what are you spending your money on?
No, I was spending it just to live.
Okay.
Because I didn't need friends. I can live in abandoned houses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. And so then my friend Jimmy, when I was 18, he had a relative out here in California.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, "You want to go to California?" I mean, I really didn't have nothing going on. And so everything I owned was in a duffel bag. And then we just jumped in his 67 Mustang and drove across state. And where I'm from, I didn't know nothing about California. I mean, just what I saw on TV, like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's exactly accurate.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking I'm going to go live like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Oh, there you go.
And so we drove here. The dog threw up in the back seat, all my stuff, and we stayed loaded through the whole duration.
Huh.
And when we got here, I seen the Hollywood sign. I'm like, yeah, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then, we cruised around Rodeo Drive. I'm like, yeah, this is the way I'm going to be living now.
Okay.
And we kept on going. And then we stopped in Linwood.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't show Linwood on TV. It was
only on Cops.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want to.
There's some wonderful people living in Linwood, but
there is
your point.
But not where I was hanging.
Okay.
All right. And so I get to Linwood, and he had a brother that had a one-room place. And we tried to live with him, but that wasn't, happening because I'm just independent. I'm wild. I'm 18. I have no rules. I really got to the point where it's like, I don't have any rules. I mean, I don't. Mm-hmm. And so his brother wasn't putting up with that. And so I ended up hanging out at the park, got introduced to gangs, start smoking PCP, injecting cocaine. Mm-hmm. That's when I switched. And just drinking wine and just.
So you're 18. You're a honorably discharged Navy veteran. You've been doing the drug dealing stuff for years at this point, and you're only 18, and you're in Linwood, California. And I guess, did you consider the move to California an upward overall move in your life?
It didn't matter.
Didn't matter?
No.
Okay.
I mean, life. I told myself a long time ago, if you don't expect nothing, when you don't get nothing, you don't feel nothing.
Okay. Yeah. And through this whole point, from birth with the umbilical cord around your neck to 18, and this senior mom being shot, this whole thing, did it occur to you that, hey, my reality is what I've become acclimated to is not what how kids should be treated? Did that occur to you?
No. I mean,
the whole time.
No, even being a carny. I mean, we got into fights. I was sleeping one day in the truck and woke up. I was covered in glass. Some guy had hit the truck door with a hatchet trying to kill me. I mean, I've had guns pulled on me. People try to stab me. I mean, that's just normal.
Yeah, it was your normal.
That was normal.
So I mean, you're coming from a kind of a messed up household into the carnival. I guess your compadres in the carnival are also coming from similar situations.
Mm-hmm. And treating you pretty much the same way.
Yeah, I mean, we partied. I mean, that's just the way it was. To be a carny, you have to be tough. You have to be. I mean, we're putting together amusement rides made out of steel. You're dealing with local people from different areas. You're like a stranger in somebody's town, and you're just wild. I mean, I know I was wild. I mean, I didn't have any rules.
Yeah.
I mean, if you come to the carnival with your girlfriend and I wanted your girlfriend, it's like, I'll punch you in the face. Because that's just the way my mentality was.
Right.
And I can always find drugs, and so that's just the way I live.
Wow.
And you had nothing to compare it to. So again, it's your normal.
That's my normal.
That's why we don't judge.
Right.
We don't judge because that's all you knew, right? Mm-hmm. It's all how so many other people walking the earth in very similar footsteps, right? That's why, personally, that's why I don't judge, because that's all they know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 18-year-old in Linwood, and you're still doing a lot of criminal kind of thing. Let's get back to 18 and what's that life looking like? And
I'm smoking sherm. I'm selling sherm. I'm stealing because I'm new in California.
Which sherm?
PCP.
Okay.
In a liquid form.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I learned how to smoke that properly because there is a technique to smoking sherm. And so I learned how to do that, but I'm greedy and I smoke too much. And I remember I got sort of like paralyzed in a restaurant going to order food because sherm will make you feel like a zombie. And I got just stuck at the counter. I couldn't move. You know, when somebody's like, "Can I help you?" Like I was just frozen. And then the homies left me, and that's cool. That's just the way it was. And so I did that for a while. I started injecting ether-based cocaine. I'm living at the park, stealing, drinking wine. And I think that's when I tried to get my first job, which was at a fast food restaurant. And so I'm working there and I'm getting free food, you know, because you get to eat.
Yeah.
And then I'm still getting loaded, but at least I had food. I was living in an abandoned house then. And then things got rough because I was stealing from the restaurant. And they were going to fire me. And so I just transferred to another restaurant in a different city.
Okay. All in Southern California.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So where at what age don't tell us what it is yet, but at what age did you hit rock bottom?
35.
Okay. Yeah. So take us from 18 to 35, what life looks like to that, and then we'll pause and get to where you hit rock bottom.
I'm selling, let me see. No. I'm stealing at the restaurant. I got transferred to a different restaurant from Lakewood to Costa Mesa. And I'm doing cocaine, drinking wine, working at the restaurant. And the manager of the restaurant liked cocaine. And so he allowed me to move into his house because that was his connection. And then I would, then I got promoted, you know, to a shift lead. And so that put me in charge of all the cash registers. And so I'm stealing out the till and living with him and supplying him with cocaine. And I'm selling drugs out the drive-through window of this restaurant.
Wow. And what year is this?
That happened from probably mid 80s to 90s.
Okay. So you're in Costa Mesa, which is it's kind of turning into a hip new town. I mean, I was just there last night at an event, and but back then it was kind of
the Mecca.
Yeah, yeah. It was kind of Costa Mesa, for those around the country, is a town right next to Newport Beach, which is very posh. You know, that's the sailboats. And
it's in between Newport and Huntington.
Yeah. So okay, so you're living in Costa Mesa, and keep going.
Okay, so I'm selling drugs there. I'm living with the manager, and I guess there was too many times in which the drugs was missing because I'm still a thief. I'm still stealing stuff. I had no boundaries. I really didn't care about people. I mean, I was that person that him and I was the only two people in the house, and he'd go to the bathroom and I'd steal his drugs, and he'd come back and say, "Well, where's my drugs?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know, but we're gonna find out who took them." That was my.
So you're lying, you're stealing,
right?
Yeah, you're not okay.
I am not the. I am not the citizen that you would want to be around.
Up to this point, I hadn't heard you mention jail. Have you been in jail?
Up until that point, not really.
Wow.
What do you mean, not really?
Well, the cops kicked you out of the house, but they didn't take you to jail.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so
had you been in handcuffs?
I don't think so.
That's crazy. Because I mean, here you are, and I love your honesty.
Yeah.
Because this has got to be, as an adult, this has got to be kind of ugly and embarrassing to talk about, this stuff. But the reality is you're dealing drugs, you're taking drugs, you're drinking underage, you're stealing. I mean, you're doing anything you want to do. You're getting into fights. It's crazy, amazing. You're here alive, with this whole carnival thing and axes and smashing glass and guns and stabbing, all this stuff. And you haven't been to jail
yet.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming.
The disease.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's coming.
No,
all right.
No, but it's like you and I, right? We go through the program, all of that, and just hearing your story, it's like, I'm speaking to everybody out there where, this hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah.
I haven't gone through that. That hasn't happened to me yet. And I think that's a really important message. We can talk about that now or later.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this must feel a little empowering that, hey, I'm without rules here. I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Getting away with stuff.
And getting away with it. I haven't even been to jail.
Yeah.
Pushing the system.
Yeah, I might have got pulled over, but nothing as far as being arrested.
Yeah.
And so, now let me take the back. I went to juvenile hall for the bank thing when I was a little kid.
Oh, you did to go to juvie?
Yeah, I went to juvenile hall for that. But
okay.
that was about it. And so I'm in Costa Mesa. The manager got tired of me, and so he kicked me out and he fired me. But I've already established my little my
your
spot.
network.
Yeah. At right on the corner of Harvard and Wilson. And back then in Costa Mesa, I didn't know it, but there was only 4 Black people in that whole town. And
is that right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit.
Interesting. Yeah.
This is Orange County. It's predominantly a white county. I grew up here my entire life. I grew up in Fullerton. Tanya grew up here with the rich kids in Monarch Beach. But,
you always say that.
I know. Well, we always perceived you as rich. What is it like being a Black guy in Orange County?
It was cool because I lived in the underbelly. I lived in the back, in the drug world.
Okay.
So we don't care about your color in the drug. What we care about is the color of your money.
Okay.
Okay. And so, God bless you guys and I love you, but you guys did not come back in that world. You did not.
Yeah.
And so it didn't matter what color you were. It was how
the
tough,
money.
Yeah, the money, what kind of drugs you had, and how tough you are.
Okay.
It's a dog world.
Right.
And so I fit in perfect.
Well, one thing I'll say about Orange County is I grew up here, and maybe I'm full of BS, but I think it was a pretty friendly place. People get along generally pretty well. I mean, were you treated well? Because we hear about, race issues and so forth. For me, reading the LA Times, that was like stupid stuff that went on in the deep South.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen here. But is my perception right or wrong from your perspective?
The drug world has its own family.
Okay.
It had its own
it was
rules.
colorblind.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And so we accept who you are, as long as you can do what we do. That's just that's the environment. It's a whole different lifestyle.
Okay.
A whole different set of rules. If you get caught, you shut your mouth, you're cool. Go do your time and whatever.
Right.
And as long as you had the money or the ability to sustain your own habit, then you're in.
Okay.
And so it didn't matter what color you were.
Okay. And so this whole phase, we're talking kind of 18 to 35, where you hit rock bottom. Where I haven't heard you mention any girlfriends. I haven't mentioned any kind of religion or moral guidance. What was there anything there that you want to share?
Girlfriends. No, I didn't know till later on that I got relationship issues. I didn't even like people.
Okay.
And so the girls I hung out with back then were the hookers on Harvard Boulevard.
Okay.
Those were my friends. There wasn't girlfriends. They're just my friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as far as religion, when I was a little kid, I used to get drugged to church. So I knew God was somewhere, but it was like a God of the rescue business. And God let me down. My mom got shot. Where's God?
Right.
I'm getting beat. Where's God?
Right.
You know, so.
Okay.
So-
And just so,
Which
folks
is a real
out there
thing.
know, Harbor Boulevard is where Disneyland is.
Mhm.
Harbor Boulevard's a big, it's probably the main thoroughfare in Orange County.
Mhm.
You got Disneyland there. Up the street, you had where Carl's Jr. started the very first Carl's Jr. is up the street from Disneyland. Up the street from there is a little radio shop where Leo Fender invented the electric guitar. Harbor Boulevard's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the hookers were down by Disneyland.
Right.
And that's where, guys would go who are looking for that kind of thing. And that's where you were as well with your business, that you're dealing coke and everything from the drive-in. So did I get all that right in terms
Yeah,
of?
well, I was more south.
Yeah, you were south,
Yeah.
closer to the beach.
Yeah, I had some class.
Yeah.
You had some
Okay.
I had
class.
some class. Yeah. You know.
You're closer to Newport.
Yeah.
Okay. So women were basically, you were not getting along with people in general.
Right.
But the thing about your area of Costa Mesa is it's like a couple more blocks south, you're in Newport Beach, and that's the most rich, wealthiest areas in the world. It's not an exaggeration.
It's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, yachts and boats, and you're really close to that whole lifestyle.
The money.
Did you, when you saw, I mean, you must have gone there and seen that. What went through your head when you saw these mansions on the water and
I didn't go there.
Oh, you didn't go there?
I didn't go there. I
Why?
stayed in my little pocket.
Okay.
Because when you're an addict, you're in one little environment. You don't
Isolated.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
don't
isolate
go-
yourself.
Okay.
You know?
You just used a word for the very first time. You're at least now you're recognizing you're an addict. Did you realize you're an addict at that time?
No, I was a party animal.
Okay.
Back then, yeah, there's a difference.
Oh, okay.
For sure. So talk about that though. I mean, we've been talking about that, but just like in succinct, right? Just what is that difference like in 2 sentences for people who are listening?
Denial.
Yeah. Denial. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the Nile. We're talking about denial.
Denial, yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm partying. Again, I'm one of 4 Black people in Costa Mesa. And so I'm selling drugs at night in Costa Mesa. And my only disguise was a DARE t-shirt. And
Dare.
Oh,
Yeah.
DARE. What does DARE stand for?
I forgot.
Drugs are I don't know, but it's
Drug
a
aware. Oh shoot.
it's an
Dare.
anti-drug kind of thing.
right.
So
we
that
should
was
know this.
your armor.
That was my
Yeah.
my disguise.
So
Yeah.
you're disguising yourself as a really good, clean kid.
Right.
Dealing drugs.
Yeah, at 2:00 in the morning.
Ah,
In the winter time,
that's-
sweating.
okay.
And-
There's a kind of a part of
Interesting.
genius in that.
Oh yeah.
You got a good cover up there.
Yeah, at least I thought so.
There's a little bit of genius, but in a twisted way. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's where
Funny.
that's when I first got busted.
Oh, we just found out what DARE meant. Our producer found it.
Okay, what is
just
it?
go ahead and tell us.
Drug abuse resistance education.
Drugs,
Drug
abuse,
abuse.
resistance, education. That
Kids off drugs.
DARE to keep
Kids off drugs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So, wow. Okay, this is just a fascinating.
Fascinating.
This crazy cool story. Okay, so 18 to 35. What else you want to tell us about?
So I'm doing that. That's when I first got arrested. And they
How old were you when you first got arrested?
probably oh my God, probably 27,
27?
something like
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. So
Survival mode
from
until
birth
then.
to 27, never arrested, and you're dealing, using drugs, stealing, a little thing when juvie, but that's it.
Yeah.
You're getting away with this stuff.
Mhm.
You're a party animal,
Mhm.
also known as an addict,
Addict.
but don't come up with that term later.
Right.
Right.
You're getting away with it. You must feel pretty like kind of a
Invincible?
sense of invincible.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Invincible.
Well, when it's really fascinating when you're in specific environments, you're safe in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But when you come out of that environment,
Yeah.
then things are different.
Okay.
That's why you stayed in Costa Mesa and not cruised up to Newport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and as long as I stayed in the back alleys and things like that, I didn't get noticed. But when I came out on, Harbor and Wilson, then it's like there's a little spotlight.
Yeah.
And then being out at 2:00 in the morning, being one of the only black people there. It's like
nothing good comes out of that, right?
Right. And so I got arrested my first time.
At 27.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the arrest. What went down?
The first time I got arrested, actually, I got arrested for assault and battery over a drug deal, but they didn't know it was a drug deal.
Okay.
But I got arrested for assault and battery. I hit a guy with his motorcycle helmet because he stole money. And then I went to the county, got out, and then when I first got arrested for selling drugs, they sent me to Orange County Jail. I did 6 months. I got out. I went back to Harbor and Wilson.
Okay.
And then I got arrested again. And this time they sent me to Donovan Prison. And I spent 8 months and 20 days there. And then I think I got out. And during that period of time, I think I got news that my mom finally died.
Oh.
And when I got that news, then that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no rules. There's nothing. There's
no punishment.
Had you been keeping in touch with your mom this whole time?
No. I mean, when I came out here, I didn't even, I would tell people I don't even have a family.
Okay.
You know, I mean, when I went back for my mom's funeral, my niece that was 2 years old was 16. And I didn't even know who she was.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
So you're pretty detached from your family.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Okay. So is this a good point to transition to your the low of your life? Is this a good point, or is there anything you want to share about your life preceding that?
After I had no more rules, then everything just went downhill.
Okay. So we're going to look at your life, Anthony Brown, in the next episode of what that kind of looks like, life with no rules. But to recap the whole kind of life before trauma, I'm already traumatized. I mean, this is like, I mean, I don't know what you could add to that list of childhood trauma.
I tell you, what I'm walking away with this is, again, and I've said it numerous times, where this is your normal. And I think an important message for anybody who's listening, whether you're a kid, an adult, or a parent, where we can't judge people because we never know where their backstory comes from. We don't know that backstory. So again, this podcast is all about like establishing, patience and trust and, just appreciating people, because we really don't know backstory of people's experiences.
Yeah.
So when somebody's cutting you off in the middle of the freeway and they're all stressed out, like, hey, there's a reason for it. Go, know? Yeah. So your story is very, very, that's what I'm taking away from it. I mean, among other things, but that's kind of what I'm really walking away from that.
Okay. So post-traumatic thriving, where we talk about die, survivor, thrive.
The choice is yours.
Thanks for supporting our podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on your favorite social media. For books, merchandise, or to donate, visit CoreIQ.com. Post-Traumatic Thriving is produced by CoreIQ, a nonprofit with a mission to teach the life skills we all need but are not taught in school. CoreIQ and the Post-Traumatic Thriving podcast are for informational purposes only and do not provide medical or mental health advice. Always consult with your licensed medical and mental health care providers.